Okay, good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to 21 Jewels. Today I am showcasing the Invicta Sea Hunter. This is one of many Invicta watches, actually one of many watches in my collection of over 400 that you're going to see showcased on this channel just like this. A little bit different style compared to my other channel, Fat Cat Collection. And of course, this channel will be having reviews as well, but I want to review every single watch under this sort of theme to give you guys a real close-up of what you get for your money, and to give you guys just some really nice shots of the quality of all these amazing affordable watches that I'm going to share with you. So today we have the Invicta Sea Hunter. This one here I've had for over, I'm going to take a guess here, 6 to 7 years, maybe even longer. It is one of the first Sea Hunters that I got in my collection with the new bezel creation. Model number in this is 18824. I will put the link in the description where you might be able to pick this up. A lot of the watches on here that I have, depending on when you see this video, are either going to be available or discontinued. But let's get right into it. So what do we have here? So this Sea Hunter is version, what I like to call Sea Hunter 3. It's the third generation Sea Hunter, even though you may see us referred to as the Generation 2. Originally, Invicta came out with a very basic plain Sea Hunter. They kind of repurposed the name. It wasn't even technically a Sea Hunter. Then they came out with this watch without the crown protector and a rubber kind of coated bezel. Then they came out with this one. And I think there's even a fourth generation now as well. But I think this is the very best generation Sea Hunter. It's one of Invicta's biggest watches that they make. We have a measurement of 58 millimeters at the bezel. And if we include the crown here, or this crown guard, it takes you all the way up to about 70. So you might see this watch referred to as the 70 millimeter, the 63 millimeter, and that's all dependent upon where it's measured from. But for the most part, 58 millimeter at the bezel and 70 to the crown guard. Awesome crown guard in this. I think we have to include that because it just adds a lot of size to the watch. So as far as like the specifications on this is powered by a Swiss movement. They do say Swiss made on this here, but these watches are not made in Switzerland to the best of my knowledge. I don't think any Invictas are made in Switzerland. That designation Swiss made is kind of meaningless nowadays. It did mean something back in the day. It just doesn't anymore. Most of the watches you get with modern machining, whether that's China or some other country, are fantastic. So main specifications are check boxes, as I like to call them. 316 stainless steel, that's really all you need in a watch. Weight on this is about a pound, maybe a little bit more. It's huge. It's one of the biggest watches Invicta makes. Nice rotating bezel on it. I hear some folks talk about, turn the bezel on a Rolex and compare it to an Invicta, and you'll see some huge difference. I can't tell any difference other than sometimes bezels are a little bit easier to turn based on the design. Other times, if it doesn't have this nice, like this has a real deep gear-edged bezel. If you have something smoother, it's going to be harder to turn. Of course, that's all engineered into the watch. One being easier and one being more difficult to turn doesn't really have anything to do with quality. It just has to do with how they engineered it. You can see this watch has some scratches on it. I've worn the hell out of this watch. Probably use a good cleaning. We have some beer stains in here. I used to wear a lot of my watches to the local pub before I stopped drinking. So these watches definitely got a lot of bar time, scraping around on granite bars and wood bars, and you can see definitely got some beer stains in there. What else? On this particular model, we have screw-down crown and function pushers. Some of the Invicta Sea Hunters look just like this that I even have in my collection do not have screw-down crown and function pushers, so it decreases your water resistance. But overall, exceptional water resistance on this. We have 300 meters of water resistance. The Sea Hunters generally have this pretty cool exhibition window on the case back showing off that propeller. It is a quartz watch, so I like that they did an exhibition window and did something decorative. Otherwise, just looking at a bright yellow Ronda movement. Again, no big deal. I could go either way on that. But I think if you're going to put a exhibition window on a quartz watch, I think you should have something decorative. And Invicta definitely does a good job. They don't do it on a lot of their watches, though. So I don't know if it's people don't appreciate it. I'm not really sure why they don't do it anymore, but it's very cool. We have a screw-down case back. And one of my comments here from Syndicated Satellite, another awesome affordable watch reviewer. If you haven't checked out his channel, do check it out. He calls this the Watch Snob Destroyer. That's from one of the videos I did. I titled it that. And it really is. These watches are hated by the watch snob community. They think that you have to spend thousands of dollars to get a high quality watch. And unfortunately, a lot of times, even if somebody's not a watch snob, they bash on the Invicta brand because people sometimes just can't get over the fact that this is such a big watch. I've heard people refer to these watches as clown watches. They're ridiculous, all this stuff. But ultimately, what kind of world would we live in if everybody liked the exact same thing? I think this is really cool. I mean, I love watches of all sizes, and Invicta is no exception to that. They do make some huge, high-quality timepieces. And this watch here can be had for, I paid as low as $150 up to about $380. Again, supply and demand, availability, all determines what a watch costs. Very, very cool looking watch. I mean, it is just a beast. Excellent quality, mirror polishing down the center. You can see the light run under here. You can definitely see how much this watch has been worn. But when you're under halogen lights, or actually like an LED light is what we're under now. I kind of have one kind of pointed right down on top of the watch. You're going to notice everything. But when you look at this in person, of course, the mirror polishing does have some scratches. You just really can't avoid that if you wear a watch long enough. But a lot of folks too, just if you come to this channel, you discover this video because you're in the market for Invicta and you're like, I just heard bad things. Take my word for it. You'll be very happy with the quality of these watches. You can compare Invicta to watches that cost thousands of dollars. I have watches in my collection that cost a couple grand, and I can tell you that the quality of a watch that's what we call respected by the watch snobs, in quotes, right? Just because it doesn't say Invicta, the quality of this is exceptional. I mean, there's really nothing that you spending thousands of dollars on a watch is going to get you this watch doesn't have. Mainly, what do I talk about when it comes to, if you guys haven't checked out my other videos, one thing I talk about is my check boxes. And number one is, what is a watch made out of? In this case, we have 316 stainless steel. And that's putting aside cosmetics. Of course, you should always buy a watch based on its look, based on, how can you picture yourself wearing it? All that is the number one reason to buy a watch. It's got to be something you like. And that's all that matters. If you like the watch, it doesn't matter if it's a cheap, low quality watch or the world's best watch, right? It's what's most important is that you like it. So this watch, of course, checks the box for me. Love this watch. It's big, it's bold, it's beefy. 23 millimeters in case thickness. It's just a tank of a watch. It's a watch that whenever you wear it, you will get noticed. People will be like, damn, it's a huge watch. People generally don't make negative comments in public. Most people they're keyboard warriors. We all know they're out there. It is what it is with the internet. But these are awesome watches. And most of the time, actually all the time I've worn these watches, they usually say, damn, that's a watch, or whoa, what kind is that? It really draws people in. It's very interesting, right? It's not for everybody, absolutely. A big, huge watch like this is not everybody's going to wear this. It's totally up to the wearer, right? So getting back to that number one checkbox, 316 stainless steel. We have 316 bracelet, 316 case, 316 bezel. Absolutely high quality. You really can't go wrong. Another checkbox is that a lot of folks look for is, what kind of movement does it have? So this might be a deal breaker for some. If you don't like quartz watches, then you may not want this watch. They do make some of these in automatic, but this is a quartz powered by a Ronda. And Ronda is a well-respected quartz manufacturer of movements. They've been doing it for quite some time. So not only are you getting an excellent watch made of great quality materials, but you're getting a well-known reputable movement by a company who just specializes in movement. So something to be said about that. They could have just thrown in a generic, cheap, quartz movement, and it would still work forever, right? But this, they're using Ronda. So that's awesome. It is a chronograph. That's what we're not going to dive too much into. A chronograph, just basically a stopwatch. So now, if quartz isn't your thing, then you want to find an automatic version. And again, the movement brand, that might be a factor. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for accuracy and longevity, you really can't beat a quartz. And so this has that quartz. So next checkbox a lot of folks look for is what kind of crystal does it use? So this Invicta uses their proprietary flame fusion crystal. Long story short, it's supposed to be kind of like a hybrid crystal. Gives you good shatter resistance and good scratch resistance. Ben's Watch Club did a review of crystals the other day, or actually it was quite some time ago now I think about it. But remember, all crystals are relatively scratch resistant. So even though he placed this up there with Seiko's Cristerna, he placed Flame Fusion up there with Sterling's, is it Cristerna? No, sorry. What is it? Seiko's Hardlex, Sterling's Cristerna. When realistically, when you use the number 6 scratch pick on this. It did scratch with a 6, which is what the Cristerna and the Seiko Hardlex scratched at. However, when they went up to a 7, this was scratch resistant to a 7. But unfortunately, because it's Invicta and people are haters out there and don't want to give Invicta any kind of recognition, he just lumped it in with a 6. When really, the test should have been redone. So realistically, you're getting amazing scratch resistant. Is it as good as Sapphire? No, but when are you going to go take a diamond drill bit and try to scratch your watch? When are you going to purposely take a knife and try to scratch it? So this is extremely scratch resistant, and you really don't need Sapphire. Of course, if that is a checkbox for you, then that's what you should get. And let me just say, I do apologize. My washer's got an attitude problem, and you're probably picking up some noise from that. So it is what it is. I didn't want to. There'll be more videos like this, but just kind of live with it for now. It's not going to be every video. All right, so and that'll pass in just a second. I need to replace the bearing in my washer, so it's on the list of things to do. All right, so again, crystal, if that is your checkbox, and I'm not telling you what checkboxes you should have, but I'm telling you realistically, you don't need Sapphire to get exceptional scratch resistance. I've bashed this on cinder block walls before. I've hit this on doorknobs. There's not a scratch in this crystal. Okay, after that, you might look at, excuse me, water resistance. Get a little sip of coffee here. Depth rating. At the end of the day, that's really only important if you're going to dive with it. This does have a 300-meter depth rating. I have not tested any of these or pressure tested them. I've heard people have. I'd be okay with dunking this or taking this in the shower, right? But again, one thing you will find with higher quality or higher tier watches like luxury brands is that, like Rolex, that the quality control is going to be better, right? So doesn't mean you can't have a Rolex leak. It has happened. It will happen, just like Invicta. But if your life is going to be dependent upon a watch, this probably isn't a watch you want to dive with, right? You probably want to get a more specific tool watch. But if you're just looking to wash your hands, splash it, go swimming with it, hop in the shower, for the price, it's unbelievable, right? $150 to $400 roughly, right? And it depends. If you get ones with diamonds or whatnot, of course, you're going to pay more. Just be a smart shopper and know what kind of fair going rate is. No Invictas are $5,000 watches. I mean, and really no watch, honestly, is $5,000. And I'm just going to read a comment here because I like to do that, but I'm going to try not to do that too much here. These videos are really just showcasing the watch. But Brink just said, I've scratched both mineral and crystal on my Orient Mako and Flame Fusion crystal. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Again, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not sure what you were doing to do that, but I've never scratched any watch that I've ever owned, no matter what it's made out of. So realistically, though, a guy like this, here's his experience. Of course, being that he's had this bad experience scratching 2 watches, he's more of an aggressive user, right? A guy who maybe isn't as careful with his watches, or just, accidents happen, absolutely. Then one of his check boxes would be Flame Fusion. But remember, just because one person has had, well, there you at the beach, maybe he dragged it on coral, right? And not really sure of the story. Not to say it did not happen. That's not what I'm stating. But everybody's going to have a different set of check boxes. But I can assure you that based on my usage, wearing these to work, to casinos, to bars over the years, wearing them out and about, I've never scratched any crystals. So it depends on your kind of usage. If you're going to take your watch to the beach and maybe go diving with it, yeah, maybe you hit this on some coral or rock, maybe you can scratch it. But for the most part, these are extremely scratch resistant. And a lot of folks will say, oh, well, Hardlex is so much better. And that's not the case. So if you're a fan of Seiko crystals, then you have to be a fan of Flame Fusion because the scratch resistance is about the same. And the Invicta did test a little bit higher. So again, be a smart shopper, think about your own check boxes and buy the watch that's going to, I guess, work best for your wants and needs and your hobbies. All right, what else? A couple other check boxes. Some folks may be concerned with screw down crown and function pushers. Again, if you like the Sea Hunter watch and you really want that, you can get this particular model. Just make sure you look for models that have that. Not every Sea Hunter has that. The clasp on these, you have a friction clasp. And now we're starting to get into kind of nitpicking check boxes, right? The ones I share with you are the major ones. Those are the major check boxes when it comes to quality. If you have those, if you have any kind of crystal that's not acrylic, right? Because acrylic is soft, that will scratch easier. If you have any kind of crystal, 3/16 stainless steel, and a movement that fits into your check boxes, you're getting a high quality watch. We talk about fit and finishing. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, you're always going to have I'll kind of show you here when I line these up. You can see the tolerances are spectacular. Of course, we got some dirt in here. We got some scratches. Absolutely. That's going to happen with any watch. What else? As far as the clasp, right? So sometimes folks like a butterfly clasp more, a dual push button deployant clasp. I could care less. They all work. We're going on 7-8 years here. Still works great. This is a milled clasp. And honestly, there's no difference between a milled clasp or a stamped clasp, other than the fact that milled just looks a little bit more refined, a little bit nicer. I mean, that's really about the only difference. But overall, this is an exceptional watch, like most of the Invicta watches on the market. You really can't go wrong. Now, again, it may not be the right size to you. You may find this watch is just way too big, and it is a huge watch. I mean, there's no arguing that. With all the watches on the market, these are absolutely massive. And I really can't think of many companies out there making a watch quite this large. All right, well, that's about it. That's my Invicta showcase there. You've heard what I consider check boxes in regards to quality. You've heard how long I've had this watch. Well over, I don't know. Let's see. When did I go to? Trying to think of a timeline here. I don't remember exactly when I got it, but I had the gold one. I got this in gold. I got that after this by a good year or so. So, yeah, I'm thinking I got this around 2015. So, again, fantastic, good quality. And remember, when it comes to Invicta, there are Invictas and there are Invictas. Not every Invicta has the exact same quality. Some are better than others. So as long as you're getting something like this, which is a reserve level piece, and it's kind of difficult because they don't always list which ones are reserve anymore. You just kind of have to almost get your hands on it. But, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll do my best to help you out if you're on the hunt for a purchase. But that's about it, folks. I appreciate anybody who popped into the chat, Syndicated and Brink Me. Thanks for dropping by. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good day, folks, and take care. Oh, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out Fat Cat Collection for the full in-depth review. Later, folks.